You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we're talking about the horror monster comedy film Eight-Legged Freaks, directed by Ellory Elkayem and released July 17th, 2002.
Oh my goodness. We're going way back for this one. Not quite as far back as...
We went back pretty far for the birds.
We did. But still for us, we've kind of bounced all over the place as far as movies and years that they've come out.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked about this movie is it gave me this vibe of these scary B movies from like the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like levity, and it was like the film didn't take itself too seriously, which I liked.
Definitely.
There were some close calls, but I didn't really ever feel like anyone was really in danger.
Yeah, well, at least not the main characters.
Not the main characters.
Plenty of other people were.
Yeah, there were a few I was more upset about, but I never really felt like, Chris or Sam were going to get killed. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. That just didn't, It was also cool to see, like, we've really come a long way with technology.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a landline, and only Mayor Wade has a cell phone.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. Yeah, some of the technological things, you're like, man, it's only 2002, which feels like, 2000s. That was last month.
Yeah, no.
No.
Almost 20 years ago.
God.
I know. Yep, Mayor Wade, he had that great cell phone, but you had to climb on top of a tower to use it. Mm-hmm. So I don't really think it was really much use in general. Yeah. It was a fun little watch. I think it was a good one for this week. I think I needed one that was a little lighter. Yeah.
Well, definitely. Because I know we'd been doing, with you doing Handmaid's Tale, we've kind of, had some, levity, keeping it light.
Yes.
And then we jumped into the impossible.
Oh gosh.
For some reason, in the middle of all that.
I know.
And then the birds, which isn't really like light and funny, but it's not that scary or whatever too. It has some good tense moments, but people can listen to that episode.
Yes, they can.
What I mean.
Yeah.
So it's good to jump back into some really goofy, funny stuff for this week. Yeah,
I think we needed it because you're also covering something kind of dark. Not quite as dark as Handmaid's Tale, but it's still really tense and suspenseful and serious and creepy at times.
Yeah, for those who, if you listen all the way through to the episodes where I've been kind of plugging things at the end, I'm my other podcast, Strange Indeed, we've been covering the Stephen King series, Lacey's story, and it's very supernatural, dark, deals with a lot of, death and things like that, but also, we kind of put out the little warning, there's a lot of like self-harm and tension and stuff like that is in that story. So it is definitely a heavier show. So I don't know if it would be quite as heavy as Handmaid's Tale, but it has its moments for sure.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we should just jump into this.
Cool.
Let's get talking about it. I can bring on some behind the scenes stuff.
All right.
It was filmed in multiple locations in Arizona, including Glendale and Superior, which is an old copper mining town, and the Sonoran Desert. Sorry if I mispronounced that. You guys can point that out.
Sonoran, maybe?
Sonoran? Yeah.
Sound. Because there's a Sonora, Arizona, so maybe it's...
Oh. Okay. Sonoran Desert. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to say it again throughout the whole podcast, so that's probably a good thing.
You're good.
I'm good. The idea for the story came from Ellory Elkayem's 1997 short film, Larger Than Life, which included a spider fighting storyline and was an homage to 1950s horror.
Nice.
Eight-Legged Freaks is not the original title of the movie. The film was originally titled Iraq Attack, but it was changed due to the similarity it had to Iraq Attack, which seemed kind of inappropriate because it was released right around the time that, or just before the Iraq War. So they really didn't want that similarity. They took the title from a David Arquette ad-libbed line mid-movie where he yells, "Get back, you eight-legged freaks!"
Yes.
So, it's awesome.
I can already hear Steve's voicemail and live Steving. He said the name of the movie! That's...
Yeah, me too. Steve is using live Steving as a hashtag now, Pake.
He is. I saw that.
I know. I mean, this is getting really serious with the live Steving.
Living that live Steving life.
Yes, he is.
Gonna have to get shirts made and everything. Who knows?
Think so. The budget for the film was $30 million. 1/3 of the budget was actually used for special effects. The film grossed over $45 million worldwide. It is 110 minutes long, so just under 2 hours. Pake, deliver us with your synopsis.
Deliver you?
Deliver to us your synopsis.
I am your savior now with my synopsis. Let me deliver thee from not knowing what this movie's about. And this one, I edited the IMDb one because I didn't like it. So I took it and then changed things. So it's halfway my own today.
Excellent. I do love it when you take something and make it your own, or you come up with your own, because they're pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. I've got some interesting thoughts that went into my notes today. So
good. I'm looking forward to it already.
All right. But in this movie, for those who either are listening to this and haven't watched, or somehow couldn't figure out the plot even while watching the movie, which I don't know what to tell you if you're one of those people. No.
Yeah, I'm not
just kidding.
Sure.
But yeah, spiders get exposed to a batch of radioactive waste that causes them to grow to monumental proportions and attack a small town. That's the short and to the point version of it.
Excellent. I think, you know what? It explains it really well.
Yeah.
Because that really is the nuts and bolts of it.
It is. And of course, as we always do, we kind of jump in and talk characters, cast, people. Fun times like that.
Always.
And so, even though most of my notes are spiders and other random people, like some of the main characters, quote unquote, I really don't have much to say about.
Me either.
But that's just how it goes. But yeah, this movie is great. Stars professional wrestler David Arquette, a young Black Widow, and former child actor, now adult not actor, Scott Terra.
You really went there with David Arquette.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I've seen videos of him getting super kicked by the Young Bucks, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh, boy. That might be something I need to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like we should dive into Prosperity, or visit Prosperity, and break down these characters.
Yes.
So David Arquette, watching him in this movie, all I could think of was when he was in the Scream franchise and he was Deputy Dooley. Like, that is what just kept coming to me at that time when I was watching him.
Mm-hmm.
But we meet Chris McCormick. He is returning to Prosperity 10 years later. He left under these mysterious circumstances, which I kept waiting for him to finally reveal what on earth it is that he had to reveal to Sam. Because it just kept going on, and I'm like, will you just say it, because I want to know. I'm so curious.
Oh yeah, the entire movie he's like trying to get it out, and then either he's like too awkward, or like something interrupts them. Usually something arachnid.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, so it was funny to wait as he keeps like the whole movie trying to get to that, and then we finally get it revealed, and it's not even by him. She's like, "Yes, I know."
I know.
So it's like, let me guess. I don't have the exact quote.
Oh,
but yeah,
I do.
It's like,
I do.
Well, I'll let you go with it then.
All right. Yeah. And we're kind of jumping around, but I feel like with this movie, we really have to.
We can be just like the spiders, and we'll rack attack these notes and jump all over the place.
That sounds wonderful.
It's all good.
Sounds great. finally, at the very end, when he's staying behind to try to, like, blow up the mine, basically, he tries to take this moment with her again, and she just looks at him and said, I know. You beat up my ex because you found out he was cheating on me, and you couldn't tell me because you didn't want to break up my family, and you love me, you've always loved me, and if you'd only said something sooner, maybe our lives would be different. And he says, exactly. And then she just looks right back at him and says, your father told me.
Yeah.
So the whole time, whole movie, he has been tearing himself up in knots to tell her this, and she already knew.
Yep. It's great. And then when she walks off and he goes, that was easy.
Yeah. Of course it was. You didn't really have to do anything. Must be a major weight lifted off you, though. Because I felt like he was carrying something super heavy the whole time. Did not, Poor guy.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of notes on Chris up until, like, the, like, mall and stuff after. Like, because there's just a lot of him just kind of, a lot of the first half of the movie is him just being really awkward. And, like, not being able to tell Sam anything. And then he's just running around talking to different people. It's all setting up, who these people are. He goes back to his Aunt Gladys, who, like, doesn't even recognize his voice at first. And
she was happy to
funny.
see him after, though.
Yeah.
And he does rescue her at the end. I'm thinking, you're never going to find her. How are you going to find her in amongst all of the cocoons of spider stuff?
Cocoons. Oh, guys, we got cocoons!
When he came back to town, he goes to the town meeting that's at a mall where there's hardly any shoppers. I mean, there's nothing going on at that mall. I guess maybe it was closed, and I didn't notice that it was closed.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this mall is kind of just a big waste of money to add to a long list of wastes of money that the mayor has created here. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not super intuitive about what people are going to want to do in a town that small. A mall really... malls seem to be dying anyway. Maybe they weren't at this time. 2002, it's probably very different. But now we seem to be watching malls, like, disappear. Yeah. It's just...
Yeah, it's not really a big thing anymore with online shopping and then, like, small, like, mom and pop shops that are, like, more... specific and specified on, like, what they provide are doing a lot better now. Yeah. But as far as, like, big stores that are just supposed to carry kind of everything in one spot, people just don't have the, like, time or really patience for that anymore.
I think that you said it perfectly. The patience. Because no one wants to go and bump into other people. And to me, it seems like one big anxiety attack waiting to happen, to think you have to go in, be shoulder to shoulder with people and fighting over stuff. I mean, I just picture those Christmas rushes where people were fighting over the very last toy. And I just don't want to put myself through that. I still go to the mall once in a while, although I haven't been in the last 16 months, obviously.
Yeah. I go every now and then, and like it's usually like a month or two between times I go. Yeah. But yeah, there's just like certain things, like there's like, for me personally, there's like the little like Filipino like food place in my mall, and then there's a little record store and stuff. Those are like the places I'm like, okay, I'll make a day to go by the mall and like go do these things. Like, yeah. But that's about it.
Most of the stuff that I like to go in and look at is located in one part of our mall. We have like Best Buy, Apple Store. There's a really cool coffee shop and Newberry Comics. And that...
Newberry Comics. I love Newberry so much.
Yeah, so we have those.
Spent so much time in Newberry when I was in Boston.
I love it because it's got all these cool, strange things that you're not going to find anywhere else, and I like that. Yeah. I like being able to go in knowing that if I'm buying a gift for someone that I'm really specific about and I want to get something that's maybe clever or unique, that's one of the places that I'll hit up because it's different there.
I bought a lot of my Super Fight card decks at Newberry.
Yeah, so they have that, and there's one other clothing store that I go to, and they're all luckily located all in the same part of the mall, so I can park and go in, sneak in, and get all the things I need to do, all my shopping done, and then get out.
Yep.
It's interesting. So the mall's pretty empty. What we see is pretty empty. And Wade is talking about, okay, we all need to sell our properties because someone wants to buy up all the land to do something. I didn't catch really what it was, but it was...
Yeah, well, I thought it was more because you get Harlan, who's like the big conspiracy guy, and everybody saying like, oh, you just want these government guys want the property under, so they can surveil us and spy on us. But then what it is, because you hear him on the phone later, is like they're wanting to use the mines and like parts of the town to store all of this radioactive waste and stuff. And he's totally okay with that. Like he's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Just give me money and I'll let you do anything.
Well, they want to buy up the land, but it's basically an all or nothing scheme. Like everyone has to sell or no one gets to sell. And Wade kind of stands up against that because he's convinced that there's gold in in the mine. Mm-hmm. But it's also full of gas. Like, the mine is full of gas. So it's kind of dangerous. And those are, I didn't have a lot of notes about Chris either. Yeah,
I just kind of get down to, past, all of the setup stuff. Then, he has a lot more to do. They're kind of in the final showdown in the mines and things. So I'll go over kind of my notes I have with him. I said, he goes down an air duct pipe into the mall, and wouldn't the spiders then immediately realize that they can do the same thing and follow him down? But luckily they didn't, I guess, so we're good there.
Well, they were figuring out and copying people all the time before.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't do it again.
Yeah. There was they took some liberties on what the spiders would and wouldn't do at different points. It's just kind of how it goes. But they find the Orb Weaver den. Chris sends the rest of the people out. He stays because he has a plan. And he finds Aunt Gladys before this. And as a bonus, he also finds the gold his dad was hunting for in the mine. So
yes.
That was great. It's kind of a little shoehorned in thing, but it was there.
We'll take it. We will take it.
Then the giant female Orb Weaver arrives. They can't shoot it because it will blow up the mine. But then they do that anyway, so... But okay, but I understand he doesn't want to shoot it right there because then the open flame from gunfire was just going to blow them all up right there.
Yeah.
And so he has this, I'm not sure what exactly it was that he stuck in the
he had perfume in that bottle that he sprayed the spider in the face with.
Yeah.
And Mike gave him that perfume.
Yeah, but what he sticks into the light bulb socket to make it blow up, was it just matches that he put in there?
Yep.
Okay.
And as soon as when the spider hit the light bulb, the broken light bulb and the matches together, evidently that ignited it.
Yeah, so the plan worked, but it's all by sheer luck because it was very precise planning that any tiny little thing didn't go exactly the way it was supposed to. It would not have worked.
Yeah.
And he had no idea when they would be able to start the generator, so then if the power would be there or not. Or if it would blow up too soon. But, they were able to get out right in time. And as the spiders are all blowing up, he yells, "Adios, Consuela," which I don't remember Mike ever telling him the name of the spider.
No, but
maybe there's a deleted scene somewhere in there. I don't
No, it's a hive mind. Whatever Mike knows, the others know.
Got it.
Can I just say this? Mike was the smartest character in this movie.
Yeah.
He was. Right from the beginning. He was the one that had a clue.
Mm-hmm.
And it bugged me that he said later on, or a couple of times, they don't listen to kids. Usually kids are dismissed. And you can see it happen because his mother dismissed him.
Yeah.
And yet, it's
well, even Chris dismisses him right after he says, people don't listen to kids. See, here's what's going on. He's like, yeah, that looks like a cactus.
Yes. Exactly. It's they don't listen to kids. No one's going to believe me because I'm a kid and they never listen to kids. That's what he said. And I'm like, listen to Mike. He's the only one that knows. He had been to Joshua's place so many times. He knew the names of the spider. He knew there were over 100 spiders there. Please, just do it. Just listen. Listen to Mike. But they couldn't bother.
Well, they did pretty quickly, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. It didn't take too long. Maybe it's Chris the actual attacks that start
I think
helping people realize.
Chris started to believe him before others. Mm-hmm. He was the one that kind of got on the bus first. And then after that, his mom even had to admit that something was happening because she came in the room and there's Ashley, her daughter, and Chris all sewn up in a spider web stuck to the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, so crazy.
I mean, she fights off the spider, so that was good.
Yeah.
After the spider's judo chopping the chair real nice. I love the punch. All the sound effects
were great, weren't they great?
Voices and the sound effects. Spider jumping on some guy and it's literally like he's punching him to death. Like, oh, this is okay.
I
cool.
felt like I was watching a video game or listening to a video game because that's what it sounded like.
It did.
It sounded like a video game, and it was boom, boom, smack here, and it was great.
Yeah, the only other note that I had was we find out at the very, very end of the movie that he has reopened the gold mine. Now that there's gold in there, and revamps the entire town that way, giving people jobs and getting stuff. And we find that out only from Harlan kind of hinting at it at the end with his new golden teeth. Although after they blew up the mine, I guess gold survives an explosion. I don't know.
I think it does. They probably had to do a lot of digging, though, to get back to it.
Yeah. Because that was a big enough explosion to take the entire mall with it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, Wade's face. Wade's face. When the mall, he just is walking up the side of the hill and you hear, not the mall, not the mall.
My mall.
It's boom. It's gone. I'm sorry. There it goes. And he was so excited at one point, Wade was, because he sees everyone running to the mall because that's what they've done.
Yeah.
They've gone on and said, you need to get to the mall. We need to get to safety. This is what's happening.
I know you're all very busy being murdered right now, but just get to the mall at your nearest convenience, please. Yes. Thank you.
And so Wade has no idea what's going on. So he's like, if you build it, they will come, which...
That was so funny.
It just made me laugh because I've seen Field of Dreams quite a few times. Yep. And it's like, yep, okay. Yep.
That's what he thinks, like, oh, the mall is just closed. And he's like, well, now everybody's showing up. They all want to come to my mall now for some reason.
Not really. They're just trying to be safe. That's all they're really trying to do. And at that, when it's all imploding, he just says, I hope the insurance pays for this. Like, I don't know. The guy that played him, Leon Rippey, I think his name is...
He was on Deadwood.
Yeah, he was on Deadwood. He played Tom Nuttall on Deadwood.
Yep.
And he was fantastic on that. So he's kind of funny. He can play comedy pretty well. Yeah, I think he did a great job in this film.
Yeah, it's a fun cast. I mean, not everybody is well known or,
or went on to do more.
No, it didn't. But yeah, because, Leon Rippey, Deadwood is great. But yeah, I mean, was it David Arquette? So when I say, as a joke, I said professional wrestler, but he honestly has probably spent more time in the ring than in films today. That's kind of what he's really focused on.
Really?
And so
is he going to pop up on some pay-per-view somewhere?
God, that would be fun. That'd be really cool. Hey, he is a WCW champion, technically.
Oh
officially.
My goodness. The wrestling nerd in Pake is just loving this right now.
I know. Yep. I know, because I was thinking, David Arquette, and then during that meeting at the mall, and Wade Mayer says something about, like, everybody settle down, this isn't a WWF event. I know. Makes a wrestling reference while David Arquette's in the movie. I love it.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew it. Oh my God.
And then, but going on, other ones. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's clearly the one that has gone on to do the most with her career as an actress. Yeah. I would say.
Definitely.
For sure. Like I said, Black Widow. And then, the kid that played Mike, I've been here, Scott Terra. I've seen him in a number of other things when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But he has officially retired from acting back in 2010.
Wow.
He, after, child acting kind of stuff, he does not care for it anymore. And that's what I said, former child actor, now adult not actor. He just living his life. You know what? That's cool.
That's cool.
Do what you got to do.
If that's what you want to do,
mm-hmm.
then that's what you do. That works.
But yeah.
Sam, who is Samantha, she's the sheriff, and of course Chris's love interest that he's kind of come back for, whether he wants to admit it or not. That's why he's back, I think. Although I think it also has to do with the gold in the mine. She's played by Kari Warrer, and she was on MTV's Remote Control, which was a reality game show back in the 90s, early 90s on MTV. And so I remember her from that. It was kind of a silly show, and it took place in it was set up to take place in this guy's basement. So he would just go downstairs, and there'd be 3 people sitting at different chairs. And he had a music guy over here, and she was hanging out. And Colin Quinn, the comedian, was also in it as well. Yeah. It was just kind of silly. Very silly show. And if you lost and you got eliminated, the chair would pull back and you'd disappear.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny little show. So that's where I know her from. And I know she's done a lot of other things. But whenever I see her name, it's like, oh, yeah, that's the chick from Remote Control.
Yeah, that is. MTV had some interesting shows. That one's a little before my time of watching MTV, I think. But no, I remember oh God, what were the ones that I really grew up on? Next.
Oh my God.
Terrible dating show. Parental Control is the other one I was thinking of when you had to say Control, which was another dating show. Or was that on Fuse? It was MTV or Fuse, one of them. I don't remember. They became the same thing. Because MTV, I got sick of because they didn't play music anymore, so I started watching music videos and music shows on Fuse, and then Fuse just became MTV and started adding a bunch of reality shows after that too. So
I know. MTV really started the reality trend, I think.
I know. But Parental Control is interesting because the people would have to go on like dates with the parents and or whatever. The parents would decide who would win and date their kids. It was weird.
I think I saw that. That was very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure I would put that much control in my parents' hands.
Right.
No. It's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got on some weird tangents today with wrestling and malls and MTV. But hey, nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. We can return to... let's talk about Deputy Pete. Another character who did not appear very much, although he did rub his head after playing around with the barrels of toxic waste. And I wondered if he was trying to grow hair, maybe. He thought... He accidentally did it, and then he was kind of doing it like... I'm thinking... Is he thinking that it might grow hair? Just make sure it doesn't do something like Creepshow.
Right.
Where it turns into...
Well,
yeah.
At the end, he says that it's new growth. So apparently, he thinks it worked at least.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
But yeah. I have a few notes about Pete. Not a lot, but yeah. So yeah, Pete, shoot at the enormous tarantula with a pistol. That's a wonderful idea.
Yep.
No. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for him. And then his scene getting grabbed and pulled against the gate in that one store and then chainsawing his way out was
scene.
Super cool.
I loved that scene when he did that. And then he immediately after he stands up and he goes by a mirror and scares himself.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him though, because his cat is killed, Zeke, and then his wife leaves him because the cat was killed. And
clearly she only cared about the cat.
I guess. I don't know. And then he's standing by that store, and luckily he puts his hand down and he lifts, and the gate opens so he can get into it. And that's when, just before he sliced all the legs off.
Yeah.
Which was great. Aunt Gladys.
Yeah.
She was saved by Chris because he heard her coughing because she was a smoker. So he heard her coughing, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess.
It works.
Whatever ties it up so Gladys can live. All right.
I'm good with that. I liked her.
Yeah.
So, all good with her living.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Sam, Sheriff Parker, a little bit. So, of course, we talked a little bit about Mike and Ashley. We brought them up. Yeah, her 2 kids, Mike and Ashley. We get Mike, their nerdy kid who likes Josh and his spiders. And then Ashley's kind of your rebellious teenage girl hanging out with Brett and his dirt bike buddies.
Oh, goodness. R.I.P. dirt bike buddies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hop on your bike. Hop on your bikes, boys. It's an Iraq attack.
Crazy.
Yeah, they didn't make it too far.
No.
He did.
He's
the only one. Yeah.
Would you want to be riding around in the mine, though? Knowing that those things were around? It's way too small. Yeah. It's way too compact. The claustrophobia would drive me crazy. Plus, knowing those spiders were in there, too. He saw a lot of shit go down under there.
He did. It was actually pretty, like, there's a decently, like, brutal moment where he's watching, like, the Orb Weaver, like, drain one of her presents.
Yes.
That was like, oh. But when he's riding that, the dirt bike away, and he kind of does that knack move and kicks. Yeah. During an Iraq attack, you got to do a knack, smack a whack a rack, send it back, and that's a fact, Jack. Ah! And then you suck it up, you jump up in front of a pumped up truck, and those chumps that jump, they get fucked up. So, all in all, you do what you got to do.
And now we have a pig rap. How wonderful. Now you're going to have to do this every week. That was lovely. Good job. Can always count on you to bring a little bit of levity, no matter the movie. Although this isn't a hard one as far as bringing levity. It's always funny.
It's got plenty of it in itself, yeah.
But it doesn't take itself too seriously. I felt like it was... It had a little tension, but not really very much. It was more of a easy-going horror monster, creepy creature film.
Yeah. But then even the creepy creatures are making all kinds of fun sound effects. So, whatever.
I have a few notes on spiders, too. When we get to them.
Most of my notes are on spiders. So, circle back to Sam. No, I did like her using her sheriff powers and combining them with her parenting powers. We get Mike's bicycle handcuffed into the garage since he's grounded, so he can't go anywhere. And then she has her police grade stun gun that she's able to give Ashley. It's like, just in case you need it.
And Ashley used it.
Which she did end up needing it, because Brett's kind of a douchebag.
Yes, he is. I don't think he's as much of a douchebag as his friends. Like, they were really super
But jerks. Still, that moment where she tased him, she had very good reason, because sometimes dudes just gotta learn.
Yes.
No means no, and,
hello.
You don't respect that, you're gonna be shocked.
In a place that you might not want to be shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to give Ashley a 10 for, 1, using the stun gun, and 2, in the most appropriate place for the situation.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to have his way with her, and she made sure that he had to think twice and even wet himself. So I think, good job. Go, Ashley.
For sure.
And that stun gun came in really handy later.
It did.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, a lot of things came back in handy.
Lots of random coincidences that, help the overall story advance, I guess.
Yeah. It's an interesting little family there, the Parkers.
Yeah.
Mike, you said, is kind of the smartest person in this movie.
Yes,
probably.
He is.
Needs to be listened to. Although, he has a nice little phone trick there to get the phone from Ashley.
Yes.
But, Josh is no longer available, cannot be reached at this time. So, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for you.
So sad. No, Tank bit him. Yeah, that was the name of the spider that bit him.
Oh, yeah.
And then the others consumed him, and then he was dragged away.
Yeah, bye-bye. The one thing about Mike, though, is he seemed a little too, chill and unfazed by a lot of things.
Yeah.
I was like, when he goes into the mine after Josh, and sees the giant spider in there and the leg, and he's like, he seems pretty chill about his friend being dead and seeing an enormous spider in a mine shaft. He's like, oh, okay, I'll just go back and not even mention it to people for a little bit. And as they're driving through the town with like spiders attacking and mauling and killing people, he's like, oh, that's a whatever. Like, he's just naming them by like genus. He's like, oh, that's what that is. Cool. It's like, well,
live and in person and as big as you are, if not bigger.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then Ashley, I didn't really have any other notes about other than I liked, her, what she did, except I couldn't help but pay attention to the posters in her room.
Oh, goodness.
Right before she gets attacked, because I was like, I'm interested. I gotta know, what's she into? So from what I gathered, she's a fan of Linkin Park, POD, Matchbox 20, and a really lesser-known boy band named Take 5. So...
Take 5?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So I gathered that, which is interesting. That one kind of stood out because I was like, yeah, Linkin Park, POD, Matchbox 20, makes sense. Kind of a...
Yeah.
grungy hard rock kind of girl, and then and Take 5, this boy band that I didn't even know existed until I looked them up. Cool.
Yes.
All right.
Oh my goodness. I didn't pay that much attention. I didn't dig that deep. I guess I was too busy looking at the spiders. Yeah. I feel like we have to talk about one of my favorite characters in this film because we haven't said too much about him, and that was Harlan.
Yeah.
He was fun. And he was played by Doug E. Doug, who was Sanka in Cool Runnings, which was a really fun movie. And I'm not big on usually those types of movies because for some reason I just really like the dark, twisted, scary, creepy movies or, action or drama. I'm not, but I did love Cool Runnings. I thought it was great.
Uh-huh.
I think this alien conspiracy guy who does all these broadcasts, and his radio came in very handy to be able to get the messages out to the folks that were in all the residents. But he goes out with Chris to try to get a call out on the cell phone, and he's terrified of heights.
Mm-hmm. But you aren't scared of spiders?
No. Yeah, no, not at all. That doesn't bother you. No. And then there was a moment later on where he and Pete kind of meet up because Harlan has fallen off the roof and Pete has come out of the mall and the door is locked so he can't get back in.
That was a funny moment where they're like, let's just go back inside. Yeah, that sounds good.
No.
Oh, well, locked out.
Yeah.
Let's just run away. Yeah, run away sounds good too.
Plan B. Yep. Harlan's like, Plan B. And Pete says, we're just going to run away. And they took off. Smart.
Can't argue with that.
Can't argue with it.
Decent choice.
Definite decent choice. Definitely something that I would want to do in that situation. Although I would try to find a place just away from all of that. Like, I don't know. It's just... Sometimes with what people do in movies, I just shake my head and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it, but I'm along for the ride and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah. And I love that a police force out of Tucson are big fans of Harlan's radio broadcast. Yes. And so they're the ones that show up too late. I mean, they've already blown up all the spiders in the mine, so there's really no need for them to be there now. But they showed up.
They were so disappointed, too, that it was spiders and not the alien invasion that Harlan's been spreading. The message that he's been spreading about aliens. I mean, Harlan thought they were aliens.
Yeah, that's what's funny. I love that. Of course, this like conspiracy nut guy is the one looking at Sam like she's crazy while she's making the broadcast about the giant spiders. Like, what is she talking about? It's an alien invasion, not spiders. And I love though, but then Pete's like, well, they're normal spiders that got into radioactive waste, and then it made them big. He's like, oh, well, that's a better explanation.
Yeah. At one point, too, Chris says to Harlan, extraterrestrials you believe, but this you don't. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah.
He's like, fine, they're spiders from Mars. Does that make it? Are you happy now?
Does it make
No.
It's the same situation. There are huge spiders that are going to try to kill you. You have to do something.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I don't have a whole lot of other notes about people at all. We've kind of run through a lot of stuff quick, but you know what? This movie kind of makes sense to do that.
I think so too.
There's a lot. But I'll run through my other people notes real quick. Talk about Mayor Wade. Did we get a last name? I don't know. I just have
I don't
Wade
think
in here.
we did.
But yeah, again, Chris is refusing to sell the mine. Wade's a dick about it, and he's also a dick about Chris's father's death, and deservedly gets punched. And luckily, Chris and Sam go way back. So he's like, "I'm pressing charges." She's like, "Sure, you are. Okay, go home," which is nice. And let's see, everyone in the mall trying to hide out and prepare for a fight against a horde of flesh-hungry creatures. That sounds sort of familiar.
It really does. It does. I mean, I feel like I should challenge you to name like 5 films that this reminds you of on the spot, but I'm not going to do that.
No. I mean, I'm just thinking Dawn of the Dead, but...
That is a movie we're going to have to talk about sometime.
Yes.
We're going to have to break it down. It's going to have to happen.
We might have to do a special episode on those. I think I have some ideas. We've talked a little bit about doing special 1 or 2 part episodes where we compare different versions of the same movie. We can do it with It. We've talked about with It, but I think maybe even doing both versions of Dawn of the Dead would be fun too.
I think that's a great one. In fact, I think it should be our first one.
Yeah. All right.
I've been dying to watch both of them again, so I'm excited about that. I'm in. Let's do that.
Cool. Making plans. But yeah, in the mall, I think the guy in the hockey mask with the chainsaw is priceless. I think that's hilarious.
Oh my god, yes.
Where she's like, "Okay, everybody get ready," and then the spiders start breaking in, and she turns around and is like, "Get ready," that's what I said. And then they all start gearing up and putting helmets and masks and revving up chainsaws. It was great. Brett reunites with Wade in the mines briefly. The poor old barber.
I liked him, Amos. He was great.
Mm-hmm. Now that spider was just waiting in that tent for the right time to jump out and get him. What a freaking camper. And then...
Oh my god. You just went there.
And then everyone is down in the basement and they think that it's all over and they're surrounded. But then Brett comes through with the forklift to either save the day or let all the spiders in from the mine. We'll see. Now, luckily, all the ones from in the mine, I guess, had already left because they were out to hunt. But then they do bust in and end up following them back into the mine anyway. But
yeah,
guess it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my character notes. Do you have any more?
The only thing left in my notes is I really hate it when they kill the dog and the cat. Poor little Brucey was not pleased.
Pets didn't fare too well.
No.
In this movie. The parrot.
Yeah, the parrot.
Zeke, the spoiled cat. Bruiser. Even, not the ostrich farm.
Yes.
Which, at least, yeah, they're good meat and healthy for the spiders. So there's that.
Well, I'm really happy that they're being conscientious about their weight and their, cholesterol. That's great.
I've had an ostrich burger before. Actually, it's pretty good.
Was it good?
Yeah.
You've had a lot of interesting food.
Yeah. I like food.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. I feel like we can totally break down and talk about spiders.
Ooh.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
One thing I have to point out is I found out that the sounds were made by 3 people. They were voiced.
Yeah.
Credited as voiced by Rob Paulson, Kevin Michael Richardson, and Frank Welker. I couldn't decide if they reminded me of Gremlins or what, but every time they were running around, I just started laughing because of the sounds they made were just like...
all
I can think is, do spiders make noises like that only much, much lower? Because
where we can't hear them?
Where we can't hear them? I mean, how did they figure this out? Did they just do it, or did they actually take the time to investigate it?
I think it was just for comedic effect.
All right. Well, it worked. It definitely worked.
Yeah. It was a good classic radioactive waste creates giant creature scenario, and so that was...
Oh, yeah.
It's
definitely.
Classic.
Reminds me of Chud, which is not a movie I have on our list, but it could be, maybe.
Could be. Yeah.
It could be at some point. It's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I like the strange, ridiculous movies.
Yeah.
It was a little more serious than this one. Yeah, obviously. We're doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What other notes you got?
Yeah,
I've got a bunch, but I kind of covered a lot of character stuff, so I figured I'll let you know. You can run with a lot of spider notes at first, and I'll throw in what I got here and there.
All right. Well, let's start with the jumping spider, which chases our buddies on the motorcycles. It also causes the explosion that kills the phone lines by jumping on a tanker that bumps into them and blows up. And and at the end, Brett sees, everyone else in his group is dead but him, and he sees the tanker blow up. We have the Orb Weaver spider, which is from Brazil. It's one we saw a lot of in the film.
Yeah.
It was a male that took Gladys and Bruiser. And it also was the spider, or it was a male Orb Weaver that tried to abduct Ashley and Chris.
Yeah.
Consuela was the female Orb Weaver. And she has a name because she was one of Joshua's many pets at his exotic place.
The spider farm.
The spider farm.
Which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I
would probably visit and check out something like that if it wasn't as creepy and run by somebody as creepy. But
what would you do? Would you go online and look up spider farms and then look to see who owned them to make sure they weren't creepy?
Right.
Okay.
Because I've been to like reptile farms and like alligator farms and stuff like that. Those are usually all really cool. So like it's like got a bunch of exotic spiders would be cool. This one just kind of it wasn't really meant for like a touristy kind of thing or people to check out. This was just, he would just buy and sell exotic like black market spiders is what it really was.
I felt like it was something you might find on the side of the road, like one of those old dilapidated zoo type things. You pay 10 cents and go in and see all the creepy things. That's what it kind of looked like to me. We had the trapdoor spider, which is what was devouring the ostriches. The Australian funnel spider and the spitting spider, and a bunch of different types of tarantulas, including pink toe, Mexican red knee, pink-foot Goliath, and Goliath bird eater. Wondering, did they name it that because it ate the bird? I don't know.
Well, it's an actual spider. I know of them here in the Southwest-ish, even though I'm more East Texas, so I don't really, but I've been to the West Texas side where it's more desert and mountains and closer to Arizona and New Mexico kind of region. And lots of tarantulas. Yeah.
Well, the tank, which was one of Joshua's large tarantulas, is the one that actually destroys Harlan's trailer. The tank was pretty destructive in this film. He did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much what I have. So why don't you tell us what you have for notes on the spiders?
All right, let's see. We're gonna start with a classic Pake complaint. CGI is extremely dated. It didn't bother me too much throughout most of the movie, just because I was like, I knew that's what it was, and
of course,
you just kind of roll with it. How did all those spiders just get out onto the walls and ceiling and stuff after Tank bit Josh? It's like it was the one that escaped, and then it bit him, and all of a sudden they're all over the walls and the ceiling, and there's a billion. Okay.
It makes perfect nonsense.
Yes. Let's see. Mouthful of spiders, no thanks.
No, oh god. I thought at one point, honestly, Wade, because he'd been in the cocoon, that maybe he got implanted with something. It was going to like erupt, like in Monster Hunter. Like that's what I was waiting for, and it was creeping me out. I was very happy when that didn't happen.
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't.
I didn't want that visual.
Yeah. Then another, the CGI is rough note. So, right after Ashley bounces, then the jumping spiders are over the hills. Get on your bikes, boys. Let's see. Gladys following Bruiser and getting taken by the Orb Weavers. because, of course, you'd think, there's a webbed up hole in your basement. Probably just don't go in there. Good rule of thumb. Why are spiders' legs just falling off? I don't know, but sure. It helps move the story along. That's why.
Whatever
don't
helps
ask
move
questions.
The story along. Just let it go. Be along for the ride. Grab your popcorn and just enjoy
yes. it. I noticed, and I think step on your notes a little bit, because I noticed they did it a lot throughout the movie, apparently, but the one I really noticed it is when the tarantula is walking past the police car into the RV, and the music is just a very slow, ominous orchestra version of the Itsy Bitsy Spider. And I thought that was really fun.
Yes.
And then it picks up speed and intensity as the tarantula is attacking the RV. I like this. I like the music choice there. The goofy noises I talked about. One of my favorite little goofy comedy moments from the spiders. The spider jumping into the diner window and just splatting and squeaky sliding down it. But then the one behind it coming through. And then someone, taxidermied elk heads are not delicious.
No, they're not. They spit that out like it was, what? Like a baby spitting out fruit?
Right.
Because it wants a cookie instead?
Yeah. Yeah. Trapdoor spiders snatching people while the diner guy is getting to his car. That was cool. And then he uses the ladder to throw it like over the trapdoor and walk over to get to his car. That was cool. And then the goofiness, not only the sound effects, but whenever they get to the mall and the spiders are all kind of like plowing up towards the entrance of the mall, there's like a spider that's standing on like the wall next to it. It's like waving its arms, like waving on like like all the other spiders, like go get him! Like it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. But I'm telling you, this movie. If you're having a bad day, watch this movie.
Yeah,
because it will make you laugh, fun. Especially the spiders running around making noises. Yeah, the scurrying that they do.
Ugh. Then my last note is just ... and another week later. Thought that was funny. But yeah, that is all my notes. Do you have anything else?
Oh my goodness. No, I don't. I think I have mentioned everything that I had intended to talk about. All of my notes.
Well then,
yeah,
you do have your production notes and other stuff, so we can dive into that.
All right, let's do that. Okay, so Dean Devlin was a producer on this film. He is no stranger to movies on Run for Your Lives. He directed 2017's Geostorm and served as a producer and writer on 2014's Godzilla, Independence Day, Independence Day, and the 2016 sequel to Independence Day.
So, movies we've covered and, might cover soon.
Yeah. Yes. So, the film was dedicated to Louis Arquette, which was David Arquette's father, as well as the parents of Dean Devlin. Ellory Elkayem was recruited to write Eight-Legged Freaks after Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin saw his larger-than-life short film. Pre-production started about 7 months prior to shooting so that the visual effects crew would have time to render accurate spiders as fast as possible. The effects in the movie were hilarious at times. Scarlett Johansson, Scott Tara, and Kari Werber have all been attached to Marvel projects. Tara played a young Matt Murdock in Daredevil, the movie. Werber has voiced the character of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Maria Hill in multiple Marvel animations. And most notably, Scarlett Johansson portrayed Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. Mm-hmm. One other cool thing about Scarlett Johansson is she was only 17 when this movie was filmed, and a year later she was starring with Bill Murray in Lost in Translation, which was kind of her breakout film. Yeah. I can't imagine. Like, I've seen Lost in Translation, and I never imagined she was an 18. Like, I did not know that. She was so young. Eileen Ryan, who played Gladys, is the mother of actors Sean Penn and Chris Penn and singer Michael Penn.
Interesting.
There is an alternate beginning where Harlan is doing a broadcast promoting the mall, then a worker sees Wade ordering the toxic waste be put in the basement. There is an alternate ending where after the mine is blown up, the residents walk down the road to get help. They meet with Pete and Harlan, who are walking through the desert, with Pete trying to convince Harlan that the spiders were not aliens. And Chris and Sam end the movie with a kiss. A sequel was talked about, but it never came to fruition.
Maybe for the best.
I think so. We don't need it, really. I think this movie stands alone. We don't need it.
It's good. It's fine where it's at.
It's fine where it's at. It was fun. You know, there are other things you can do in movies. Come up with original ideas. I mean, in the last few years, I feel like John Krasinski and Jordan Peele have brought to life some really cool concepts when it comes to horror and creepy movies. Yeah. So I hope we get to see more of that. Like I want people to come up with some original ideas.
For sure.
And that's all I have.
Awesome. Well, then it's time to do some quotes. And I've got a handful.
Yeah.
But who wants to go first?
I can go first because I've only got one left because I've already said the other two. So at one point, Ashley's mom, Sam, is trying to give her advice on her rebellious behavior and wants to give her this stun gun. And Ashley kind of just snaps back at her and says, "Mom, I am not you. I'm not going to get pregnant at 16. I'm not going to stay here for the rest of my life and be a trailer trash sheriff." Which you knew that had to hurt. Mm-hmm. And Sam comes back with, "Thanks for the flashback. I really didn't deserve that."
Yeah.
I felt bad for her at that moment. Like, no, you didn't deserve it. You're just trying to be a parent. One child runs off to look at hundreds of spiders with a creepy man, and your daughter runs off with kind of a jerk and has to use the stun gun on him almost immediately. Yeah, you've got a challenging life with those two, I guess. So what do you have for quotes?
I've got a couple of them that mainly probably all funny ones because of course that's what I do.
That's what you do.
And just going in order, so the first one is the parrot going, "I see dead people. I see dead people." And Joshua's going, "He loves that movie." I don't know.
I think he was telling the future. Mm. At least where Joshua was concerned.
Yeah. We do get, even though it's before he's a total douchebag, we do get a fun line from Brett when he's talking to Wade, which I guess is his stepdad. Because he just calls him Wade. But, you know, Wade's on the phone and he's just not listening. He goes, "Going off to get wasted, have a wild orgy. I might steal a car. You want one?" Which Wade just responds with, "Brett, I'm on the phone. Go have some fun. I'll see you later." And then he just kind of mutters to himself, "Thanks for caring, man."
That's parenting for you.
Yeah.
Parenting.
And then Ashley, after tasing Brett for being a douchebag, I love her line. She goes, "God, you know, I can't believe my mom was right about you. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is?"
I love that one too, because you know that she didn't want to believe it. And you remember being a teenager. I mean, of course you don't want to believe anything your mother says or father. Right. You want to disregard it. You don't want to believe it's true. Mm-hmm. And then when it is, you feel like an idiot. Yeah. It's like, it's bad enough that what she said is true, but now you have to admit it. Mm-hmm. That's just worse. Like, it just makes you feel 10 times worse.
My next one is Pete gathering all the weapons after Sam asked him to. And he's like, "Winchester, we got 6. Mossberg pump, and the Lee Harvey Oswald rifle. Why we have that, I do not know."
Oh my God.
It's just such a random thing to throw into the movie. And Harlan finds it later. It's like, "Oswald's rifle? This day is just weirder and weirder."
Can you imagine? Norman had it at one point. Poor Norman, he died too. Yeah.
Norman, sweet, simple Norman.
Yes.
It just never really seemed to know what was going on.
No, never hurt anybody.
Yeah. And the last one I have is Gladys at the end talking to one of the Tucson officers who shows up. She goes, "Do you smoke?" And he goes, "No." She goes, "Good. Dangerous habit. Disgusting. Causes explosions. Wish I'd never started."
I love that one too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you bring the funny because we need it.
Yeah.
I always go for like something that's serious, so it's cool that you balance it out with the humor in the movie.
But yeah, that's all the quotes. So I guess.
Oh my goodness, you know what that means.
Just time for rankings.
I know.
Oh God, what do we do with this one?
For me, this one was easy to rank.
10.10.
No. No, Pake. I think you'll be higher than me on it.
Oh yeah?
Uh-huh. I do. I'm pretty sure you will be.
All right, we will see.
Yeah.
So are you going first?
Well, would you like me to go first? Would it make you feel better?
You can. I don't have a... I'm good either way on it.
You are?
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Then you can go first.
I don't have a preference. That's the
okay. All right.
All right. My ranking, it's going to be passing, for sure, because it's a lot of fun. But storyline-wise, a lot of things are just thrown together to get to where they want to get done. So logically, some of it doesn't make sense. CGI does not hold up, and the acting could be better in a lot of places, but it is a lot of fun for what it is. And like you said, they don't take themselves too seriously. They know exactly what they're doing. So I end on a 7.1 myself.
Oh my God. That is very cool because I ended up on a 7.
Oh, yeah.
So, wow.
So you were right. Technically, I was higher than you.
Yeah. I thought you would be.
The smallest of margins.
By just the smallest of margins. I'm okay with that, though. I really am.
Yeah.
I feel like it deserves the passing grade. Again, we go back to high school and what was a passing grade.
I can't help it. That's what I think when we rank these things.
I know. And we have had a few movies that failed. Like, we had to give it lower. It just had to happen.
But this one, definitely worth watching. Definitely fun.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my goodness. You know what that means.
Oh, there's a feedback phone. We're going to have to answer this.
You better answer it and find out what people think about Eight-Legged Freaks.
All right, let's do it. All right, this week we do have a little bit of feedback here. First, we have a few from last week's episode with Independence Day. I always love that. We release a fun, cool, special episode like that. So always good for people to even give more feedback after the fact. So we will definitely read that always.
Yes.
So the first one comes from our friend Jamie. She says, "The Independence Day episode was great. I didn't even notice how long it ran until Ben mentioned it at the end."
That is good to hear.
Yeah. You weren't like, oh my God, how much longer is this thing? So, hey, at least you're enjoying it.
Definitely. Kelly said, "I've been listening to the episode today, and I think I need to make time for a rewatch. I finally finished Cabin in the Woods one, and it was great as well. Loved hearing all the Easter eggs. Might be another movie I need to rewatch."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, definitely watch it.
Always.
It's always great. It's always a good time to rewatch Cabin in the Woods or Independence Day.
Or many of the movies that are on our list. Except maybe one or two.
Mm-hmm. Some of them are kind of a good one and done.
Yes.
And this one comes from Damien. Just got to give some more love to Ben. He said, "Your ending was fantastic. Amazing speech, Ben." Yeah, I'm so glad that he recorded that for us to kind of play as the stinger at the end because it was so much fun.
Yeah. We do that every once in a while, guys. You just never know when it's going to come, if it's going to be a regular ending or if it's going to be something special like that. Just stay tuned and see and hear what we do next.
Yeah.
So we do have 2 this week for our episode of Eight-Legged Freaks. Tony from Twitter says, "Goofy mayhem is the perfect way to describe this movie. Haven't seen it in years, but it is funny and the spiders have personalities of their own. The dialogue is cringy in places, but overall fun. I'll try to watch before I listen to your coverage." I hope you get to, Tony. Yeah. It's definitely one that if you've had a rough day, just get some popcorn, sit back with the little eight-legged freaks, and
yeah.
I agree with the spiders and their own little personalities.
Oh, for sure.
They definitely did have that.
Oh, yeah. And then we have our voicemail, of course, this week from Steve. Is he coming at us with his hashtag live Steving?
Yes. So let us hear what Steve has to say.
All right, Pake and Daphne, this is Steve for Eight-Legged Freaks. I think I've seen this before, but I don't remember. Hey, it's got David Arquette Cox in this one. I love that guy. He was in Ready to Rumble. And ScarJo? Man, this has got a great cast. Dougie Doug, Kari Wurr from MTV. Is this kid carrying a satchel? And the parrot. Man. Wait, was that the parrot flapping around? Wait, I don't understand. Is it alive or dead? This parrot thing is I need to get this resolved. Was that supposed to be funny or terrifying with the cat? I'm torn. This sheriff has some great parenting skills. She handcuffed her kid's bike to the water heater. Future YouTuber, this kid and his camera. Unless he's pervert on his mom. They never believed the kid or the scientist, kid. Did she just tase him in the junk? She tased him in the junk. Oh my goodness. Well, this movie escalated quickly. It's got to be funny, right? We're supposed to laugh at this, right? Please tell me it's okay. Oh,
yes.
If something happens to this
Steve,
dog, I'm out. No, not the dog. And the Lee Harvey Oswald rifle. I have no idea why we have that. Oh, yeah. The current and future sex offender kid is still riding his bike in the mines, and somebody's there behind him in the shadows. I just realized they kind of broke one of their rules, didn't they? Well, I guess they were following the kid, but, noise, vibration, that's all a dirt bike is about, right? I'm glad everybody in this movie is so safety conscious. Put our helmets on first. How did he know the name that Joshua had given the spider? That doesn't make sense. All right. That was good. Talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Yeah, I always love when he points out things that we said when we were talking about the movie while recording our notes. It's just like other people see it too.
Yeah. That was fun as always, Steve. I enjoy when you bring us your unique perspective of live Steving.
Yes, always so much fun. All right. Well, thank you so much to everybody who sent in feedback this week. Always great to hear from you. And to anyone else who would love to send feedback, we always love to hear from everyone. There's a couple of ways to do that. Just hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/runforyourlivespodcast. We make posts at the beginning of the week about everything we're going to cover, and then you can just leave comments on there and tell us what you think. You can message us, whatever. We like to talk to people. You can email us, send us voicemails at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at RFYL Podcast and Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast. But above all, if you're enjoying the show, share the love, tell your friends, send everyone to runforyourlivespodcast.com where you can get links to all of the social medias, all of our podcast players, YouTube, anything you need. We'll go ahead and give a couple shout outs to things going on in the podcast universe around us. There's always so many great podcasts for you guys to listen to. If you enjoy this, then we know that you will enjoy other things in our network and friends networks and other things going on. So, of course, on Strange Indeed, me and Rima are still covering Lacey's story. We've got a few episodes left. It has been quite the ride. It's been a lot of fun. I've actually really been enjoying covering that one. So if you're a Stephen King fan, if you haven't been checking that show out, do it. It's so good. And then, Daphne, you got to do something really cool over on House Podcastica this week. Hopefully it will be out by the time this episode is up for people to hear.
Yes.
And what was that?
Well, Jason, Wendy, and I had the great, and we were honored to have the opportunity to interview the showrunner for The Handmaid's Tale, Mr. Bruce Miller. It was great to get to ask him questions and just chat with him about the show and the characters and different things that went into this season, especially because it was a season filmed with the COVID protocols in place. And
yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, so I'm just going to let everyone have the opportunity to give it a listen and learn a little bit more if you're a fan of the show.
I absolutely cannot wait to listen to that. It's going to be super cool.
It was my first, interview, big scale interview of someone in the television entertainment world. So I was a little nervous ahead of time, but I think it came out really well. So I'm excited for it to get out there in the universe.
So everybody check that out again. That is House Podcastica. Check that website or that podcast out, and then you find it at facebook.com/podcastica for those shows. So definitely check that out. On Adrenaline Cinema this week, I popped over there to hang out with Mark and talked about one of my favorite movies from my favorite director, Edgar Wright's Baby Driver. We had a good time breaking that one down, just having a good time talking about it. Had a blast, just kind of quoting things and running through stuff. I love that movie. I love Edgar Wright. I literally have Shaun of the Dead paused on my TV in front of me right now while we're recording this. So
I listened to that today while I was at work. It was so much fun to listen to you guys, break it down. It just reminded me of not just like things that happened in the movie, but these little details of things that I'd forgotten. And now I feel like I have to go back and do a rewatch because it's like that movie was so good. And I'm so glad that you brought up something in particular about Edgar Wright.
Oh, I had to.
And where the idea kind of came from for that movie. So I was really stoked to hear you say that. It was cool.
And then speaking of Mark, his other podcast with Steve, which is Panels to Pixels, they are covering Loki, the Disney Plus series over there. And then if you need even more Loki goodness, then TV Podcast Industries is covering Loki and Disney Plus's Bad Batch as well. Star Wars and Marvel, they got you covered on TV Podcast Industries.
Yes.
And lastly, our friend Damien over on the Watch It on the 80s podcast. Through this next month of July, Damien and guests will be switching gears and focusing on their first television series of the 80s. They will be breaking down Family Ties. And I'm a Michael Gross fan, so that's definitely a...
It was quite entertaining when you and Ben were talking about that this past week in a game night, because Ben's super excited about Michael J. Fox and breaking all that down, but you were all about Michael Gross, and I loved it. Of course, Tremors. And we are, Pake, getting up there in the number of episodes, so you know what that means.
Tremors 3 is on its way very soon for you guys.
Yes.
And another kind of season finale, look back, breakdown.
Yes.
It'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great.
But we still do have a couple more shows to come out before that, including one next week. We'll be covering something pretty interesting. Daphne, what is that?
Well, next week, we are going to tackle the 1999 American horror film Lake Placid. When a large crocodile migrates to the quiet town of Black Lake, Maine, an adventurer, a paleontologist, and town officials debate whether to capture or kill the creature. Plus, we get Betty White in this movie, which is one of the best parts of it. It's so incredible. So that is next week's film.
Yay. Can't wait. It'll be a lot of fun.
It will. And with that, we have reached the end of another fun-filled, hilarious episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run from super-sized, toxic, waste-laced arachnids that are ready to eat everything in sight, including you, you'd better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.